Hello and welcome back to Series 2 of Hurtwood Beyond the Hill. Today we're going to do things a little differently. Spring has sprung, so we thought we'd head outside our famous theatre as we take a peek behind the curtain of the backstage world of theatre. Our guest left us back in 2015 and wasted no time in finding success. After spending 3 years at RADA, she has worked on some of the UK's most prestigious theatre productions. She's also recently collaborated with an ex-Hurtwood student in the West End and will be working with another one very soon. Such a small world. It's time to get technical and welcome back ex-Hurtwood student and theatre stage manager Lucy Mason-Lockett. Woo!
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming back. You shocked me. This is exciting. Lucy, firstly, what a day for it as well.
I know.
What is it like being back at Hurtwood and also kind of seeing the theatre from this side, where was your home, I suppose, for 2 years?
Yeah, I mean, it's an absolute treat. It's so strange being back because it's exactly the same, but it's also entirely different coming back as not a student.
I just said it there in the intro. 2015 you left, so
yes.
it's around 10 years, but nothing's changed.
Nothing has changed. No, it's still exactly the same. Still beautiful views, and what a sunny day to come back. Brilliant.
Well, we thought we'd better do it outside because of the weather today to get a bit of that view. First time you've been back since you've left us?
I came to see the musical after I left, which was Grease, I think, but otherwise, so basically 9 years.
You've done a hell of a lot in those 9-10 years, basically, since last being here. Some pretty cool things on some pretty big shows. Let's jump straight into it and find out why Hurtwood. Tell me your story of coming here and why.
When I was at school, I always loved performing, and I think someone I was at school with at the time, her sister came here, so She was like, oh, my sister does performing, why don't you look it up? Looked it up and then immediately told my parents, this is the place I want to go. So came, had the classic chat, didn't realise it was an interview, so on the way back, I was like, oh, well, I hope I get invited to the tests or whatever, and my parents were like, no, that's what you've just done.
You've just done it.
So I was like, oh, okay, well, hopefully that went well. And then, lo and behold, I was like, this is the place. The performing arts was just out of this world of the little black box stage that's so versatile in what they could do. I was like, yes, this is where I want to be.
So your first impression of walking in there was like, wow, this is incredible, I want to be here. Someone's watching this for the first time, we've got this as well, because it's not just theatre that this place is fantastic at. What kind of other things did you do in your time here? We'll focus on the theatre in a bit, but what else did you do?
I mean, I was art, textiles and media student, so very, very creative, very hands-on, and just threw myself into everything that Hurtwood offered. It was wonderful to be given all of the opportunities of, okay, here's everything you can use in textiles, go be creative, and then all of the filming that you could do in media, of the music videos and the thrillers and all of that. It was just so versatile in what Hurtwood was able to give that it was just so well-rounded and allowed my creativity to flourish where my academics didn't.
But you touched on it there about the kind of endless opportunities that it has here. For someone that's never heard of Hurtwood, if they've just tuned into this randomly, stumbled across it on Spotify, sum up the Hurtwood student experience.
I think it's if you enjoy school but are looking for anything extra that you can do, whether it be sports, whether it be dance, whether it be acting, whether it be media, just everything. Hurtwood can give you any opportunity that you want to do, and if it's something that they don't do, they can help develop into what they can do, what they can offer.
Yeah, it's a perfect way to put it. Did you board when you were here? Were you a boarder?
I was a day student for the first term and then boarded from Christmas onward in my first year.
And whereabouts were you?
I was at Peaslake.
Oh, Peaslake, massive. Love it. Yeah. Some of the boarding side of things as well. I mean, I did a bit of boarding in my second year here, and I hadn't boarded before. What is so brilliant about that? Because I guess you build those other relationships, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think the wonderful thing, I'd never boarded before either, but it was the fact of you were living and studying with your friends, which is also an absolute bonus, because you're like, yeah, instead of, oh, I'll see you tomorrow, it's, I'll see you back rooms. And it was just so much fun to just, you didn't feel like you were still in school, but obviously you still were. And it was just keeping all of those relationships, and the fun of going back to your boarding house and still chilling with all of your friends was just magnificent.
I can see you loved it from chatting with you here. You loved the experience here. Do you think your teachers loved you?
I would like to say so.
Yeah. So from your boarding time and your academic and the creative stuff here, can you remember reading school reports or any kind of...
Not off the top of my head, no.
Well...
Oh dear.
Would you believe it? In a Beyond the Hill first, not. In my pocket here, I've got your school report here, and some of it. Who would you like to hear from first? Housemaster, headmaster, theatre?
Go with housemaster.
Housemaster. Let's do summer 14-15. Lucy has found a passion that she wants to take forward, and despite her considerable talents as a performer herself, she's more at home behind the scenes and enjoys the combination of skills and stage management.
That's nail on the head.
Well, you're also a very talented performer as well, so we'll discuss that in a second.
God.
I should thank her for being an important influence on a number of the AS students this year, and they turned to Lucy because of how genuinely loved and approachable she is.
Oh.
Isn't that nice? Who wrote that? Was that Adam, I assume?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Probably.
We'll look at theatre. What I admire about all of Lucy's work is the unrelenting determination to get things right, whether on paper or in rehearsal. So a wonderful work ethic. Textiles, let's talk about those guys, because there's no doubt that Lucy's been one of the hardest working and committed students that I've had the pleasure of teaching, and her desire to create work to the very best of her ability has been evident throughout the last 2 years. You were pretty good, wow. Lucy, by the sounds of things. What's it like hearing that back?
That's so touching, because at the times teachers are like, we're your friends, but also we are your teachers, and there is that role. So hearing that is really heartwarming.
You threw yourself into the Hurtwood experience. It's clear hearing that. Yeah. You also are helping other students, which I think is an incredible thing to do as well. It's also the most bizarre place in the best possible use of the word, Hurtwood. It is ice cream machine playing football on the lawn. We've seen it ourselves before we started recording today. What's the craziest thing that you remember about Hurtwood House?
The craziest? There are so many. There are so many things. I don't.
That you can say.
That I can. Yeah, that's a key one, isn't it?
Sum up, I suppose, the bizarre, the world that is Hurtwood, because it is a completely different thing to any other kind of school out there. In fact, when we spoke to Richard in the inaugural episode of this, he wanted to create a place that wasn't anything school-like, and Hurtwood's done it so well. So, can you pinpoint something that made you think, crikey, I'm doing this, but I'm at school, this is amazing?
I think it was all of the extracurriculars and being like, normally it's you're going to school and then you're like, now I have to rush off to drama, or I have to rush off and do this and this and this, and it was like everything was just involved in a whole here. So unfortunately I can't pinpoint one thing,
but the whole experience.
It's something that I look back on with such fond memories and cherish, because it was just so one of a kind.
Let's talk about theatre. We're outside it today, this amazing building. You actually though spent the first year on stage, didn't you? Particular.
Yes.
What kind of shows did you do?
So I did the big musical, which was used to Christ Superstar.
Yeah.
I was in the Musical Theatre Society, and I did one of the Hurtwood concerts.
So you did a lot of it in that first year. So what did you love about that? Because I've just read your school report and you're all very talented at that. So what did you love about that? And the follow-up is, so why did you then move and change?
I mean, I think there's just a special buzz to performing, and like I always liked it. I was always in the school plays and stuff, and coming here, especially coming to a school of this calibre and the shows that you did, it was something that I definitely wanted to be involved in. It was through doing the shows that I was like, I love this. Like I'm terribly dyslexic, so learning lines was not a one for me. Right. So it slightly was like, well, what else can I do in the world of theatre that still gives me the buzz of being involved in a production? And then it was finding out about, like, speaking to Al about what he was doing as stage management and backstage, that I was like, this sounds exactly up my street. And then it was doing a lot more of that in the second year.
Yeah.
And then I went off and did a few kind of summer projects in between first and second year. So I worked at Northern Ballet. I did a stint on Hollyoaks.
Nice.
So I was fully getting developed in the backstage world, and then was like, no, that's where I want to be. And then was able to get a place on the RADA course to do the 2-year stage management.
Yeah. So really it was that kind of the buzz of live performance and theatre that you loved, but it just needed tweaking a little bit, that kind of passion, which happens to a lot of people here. They come here with what they want to do, but by the end of the 2 years, they really find their passion. So being in the shows, speaking to Al, Guy, people behind the scenes, that's really what attracted you to it. What was the first thing you looked at in the theatre behind the scenes that you thought, that's amazing? Light, sound, set?
I think it was the set.
Yeah.
Just being able to walk into the Black Box Theatre and being like, cool, it's an empty space. And then coming in as we were about to do a show and having the set up all there and being like, this is incredible with what you've done with the space and how versatile and what you've been able to do. Yeah. That I was like, this is something special. this is really something special. And then you put in the lights and then the sound, and it all comes together. And sometimes you don't even necessarily need a cast on stage because of all of the amazing technical elements that can be put on.
Absolutely. But it wasn't just in here, because you went to the Cranley Arts Centre with acting company.
Yes.
What productions did you work on kind of behind the scenes here?
Behind the scenes, I did the A2 production of Hamlet. I vividly remember they had a steel deck thrust on the stage, and part of my cues during the show was to crawl under that, because it was covered with fabric.
Yeah.
And I was puppeting or doing something at the front, but just actively remember like crawling up and down the steel deck thrust.
That's incredible.
And then in the Cranley Arts, I was the stage manager on book for the first year's show. So I think I was operating the lights for that show as well, and then following the script and making sure that they were sticking to the lines, and if they jumped lines, how to affect that in the lighting states.
It's incredible, because I watch all these stuff that happen behind the scenes, but I've never really appreciated how amazing it is, but all the different things that happen. So if I miss a line, you guys are like, oh my God, I've got to skip things forward.
Yeah, it depends. Like if it's a line here or there, it doesn't matter. But if you can miss like half a page, it suddenly throws the lights, the sound, the set. A lot of things could be affected by that. A quick change that you don't even think about could suddenly go down in time, and it's like, oh God.
Wow, I apologise for all the mistakes I made here. I've made people's lives very difficult. I had no idea. You mentioned there that the kind of the scale of the productions here were amazing. They ignited kind of your passion, I suppose, for it. And you've worked since in professional productions around the UK and London. How close is a Hurtwood production to a West End one?
Oh, it's so close.
Yeah.
Like going in, being like, when you join a show and being like, this is what the model box is going to be like. The steps are exactly the same as it is on a West End. And like I've been on shows that have been on a bigger scale and a smaller scale for what Hurtwood has done, and it's exactly the same.
So it's the perfect education for someone that wants to.
Yes. And it was also wonderful when I went for my interview for the technical theatre, and they're like, it's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of hard work doing this course. I was like, this is basically what I've been doing at Hurtwood for 2 years. Like, I'm not stressed at all. So
that's RADA you're talking about?
Yes.
So let's move on to RADA then. You leave here, you spend your 3 years there on the technical theatre and stage course there. My question was, what was it like? But I suppose not too dissimilar.
No, so the reason that I loved that course in particular was in your first year, you learn every single discipline. So I did, because they have 6 shows every year for their acting students. So one show I was in the lighting team, once I was in the sound team, then I built the set and did the costumes and props and the stage management team. So I learned everything, and then in your second year, I really was like, no, stage management is what I wanted to do and what I specialised in. And there was an optional third year that you have to reapply and re-interview for to create your degree. Otherwise, it's a 2-year foundation. So when it came to the end of the second year, I was like, I want to really finesse my training in stage management. So I reapplied and got the role, and only 2 people, I think, fully studied stage management in the additional year. Oh,
only 2?
Yeah.
Wow. Why do you think that people didn't continue on? Was it just that, I guess, urge to get into the industry?
Yeah, I think some people were ready to go in the industry. Some people had already done it they'd already done a university course, and then they wanted to, so they were like, we're ready to be out of the education system.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just thought it was a great opportunity, and just learned so much more from that additional third year.
And those 3 years at RADA were incredible, kind of combined with the 2 that you'd done here. For young creatives listening to this, maybe if they're at Hurtwood, maybe not, is drama school a must, or is there other ways?
I definitely learnt a lot from drama school, but having on-show experience is crucial. I think if you're not sure which area you want to go into, maybe doing a drama school like RADA, or I know Guildhall have those kind of sample years to really find out what section you want to be in. But I think just getting show experience of working on youth theatres, shadowing experiences on big shows, you learn so much while doing that.
It sounds like the most kind of well-rounded course I think I've ever heard of, the one at RADA. But you're even saying the experience you got here at Hurtwood was as important, if not slightly more vital.
Being able, even going into RADA and having that backstage knowledge that I gained from Hurtwood, and just knowing that everyone was really looked after at Hurtwood by the backstage team, and you saw the process, I think is crucial for just acting in theatre in general, to be like, it's not just all on stage. And getting that basis while being here and seeing Guy and Al and every one of the backstage team about how they put on the show was so useful going into the industry and being like, this is what I want to do.
So you had an incredible 2 years here, followed by 3 more at RADA. Then you go into the industry, and it happened quite quickly. I've got your CV here.
Oh, God.
We're very well prepared. So I've got it here. And tell me this, firstly, before I go through it, you went kind of straight into work back in 2019-20, but that was a difficult time for the world of theatre.
Yes.
So tell me how it all kind of started, that movement from RADA into the professional world.
So in your second year at RADA, you have to do a professional industry placement. And so I did a show with that. And when I then graduated, I sent a message to all of those contacts being like, hey, I've graduated. I'm in the industry. I'm free. If you've got anything, let me know. And it was through one of those contacts that said, yeah, I'm working on a new musical. Why don't you come in and interview? And then didn't even know what the interview was for when I went in. And then I ended up about 4 months after graduating on the new 9 to 5 Dolly Parton musical.
What a show. At the Savoy, right?
Yes.
Great theatre. So you did that for quite a run of time as well. What were you doing on that? Kind of explain my role on that.
I was the assistant stage manager. So within the stage management team, you've got the key 3 roles. So you've got the assistant who's on the floor with dealing mainly with the props, with the actors, with the set pieces, running the wings. You've got the deputy that's calling the show, so the lighting, the sound, the automation as it's been created by the designers and directors. And then you've got the stage manager, who is basically the eyes of the show, more health and safety and overseeing the production as a whole. So I was the ASM on 9 to 5, so the stage left wing was my baby.
Right.
Created it from the rehearsal room and was basically just running the show. So when we got a mess of set piece that was coming off, how that Tetris worked in the wing, how if we were having a quick change, how that could be hidden by the privacy for the rest of everyone else. Yeah. So it's just running the show from that side of the stage left wing.
There's so much that goes on, and that's only one half of the stage, by the sounds of things. I was going to ask, I'm glad you've gone through it there, one of my questions is, what's the difference, and what do these words, ASM, DSM, SM mean? But, because I've gone through your CV, and I thought, what are all these initials that are next to these amazing shows you've done? But again, it's that, I guess, that team coming together, isn't it? And lots of these different departments. Do you have a favourite production that you've worked on in your, I mean, that's putting you on the spot a bit, but...
It is. I mean, I've been so fortunate that I've done a variety. I've done plays, I've done musicals, and I've done immersive. A show that will stick out in my mind is the immersive Guardians of the Galaxy Secret Cinema production.
What?
So we had an entire warehouse that we turned into 3 alien vessels, basically, and they had 800 audience that were able to just roam around freely for 2.5 hours. And we were working with the audience and working with the actors, and everything had to be set to time. And that's a show, because that was one of my first deputy shows, so where I was in the control room and everything was on time code. So if that scene was running late, we needed to communicate with that actor about how to stall that. And it was constantly changing the cues so that everything worked to time. But on the floor, you wouldn't know nothing was going out of place, but everything was going out of sequence. So that's one that really sticks in my mind of being like, okay, what have I signed up for?
Do you know what's incredible about the whole Secret Cinema thing as well? That sounds like such an immersive thing to do, crazy. But another Hurtwood link, because the founder of Secret Cinema was a guy called Fabian Wriggle, who came to the school. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Every day's a school day. There you go. Hurtwood taking over the theatre world. But as I was kind of saying, a massive learning curve doing a show like that.
It was very much like in the deep end you go, create what you can.
Yeah.
Let's go. And it was like, I think there were like 48 cast members.
Crikey.
So it was, very much a learning curve. Dropped in the deep end.
Talking about dropping in the deep end, live theatre, my favourite thing about theatre is that it's live. Mm-hmm. And you've done lots of different productions. Let me into, a little bit of a secret here. Craziest moment on stage, biggest emergency you've had? Because each day's different, right?
Yes. I mean, I've been partial to quite a few show stops.
Tell us about them.
I mean, I think one of my most memorable is when I was on 9 to 5, and a big part of the show is when the boss gets hung up in the show, and we have a foy system, and one of our actors basically got stuck in the foy system, so he was just stranded on stage, so we had to basically bring in the curtain and reset the system. So that's always quite a fun one, because there's no way, and actors are very good at normally trying to pedal out of issues.
Yeah.
But if it's a technical issue like that, you can't really hide it. So
in a
that's
situation
a fun one.
like that, though, who calls it? How does it happen? When do you notice? So you notice there's a mistake. You know, that's not normal. How long do you leave it before the curtain comes in? Do you try and do it while the play continues?
So that's where you have the stage manager who's like the eyes of the show, health and safety. So normally with that system, with the foys, it would have been clocked before that something's necessarily not right with the system. So then they'll be talking to the deputy who's calling the show, being like, is there anything we can do? The deputy will then be told, okay, we're doing a show stop, and that can only come from the voice of the stage manager. They are the only ones that are allowed to call a show stop.
Okay.
So then the deputy will be like, okay, LX sound, we're stop there, cancel the lights. And then the stage manager will either have a headset or a physical microphone, and they'll go on stage and say, we're stopping the show, technical difficulties, give us 2 moments, safety curtain comes in.
And then I guess then it's like frantic, get everything back ready.
Yes.
And then
you're like, it's like nothing ever happened.
Yeah. Well, no, but that I guess is a last resort, is it?
Yes. We always try and work out if there's anything that we can do to continue the show so we don't have to stop. Is it something like if there's a bit of a costume malfunction or something, if they can continue with the number, they will do. But for technical issues, which is foys and health and safety, they were like, absolutely not.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bring in the curtain.
God, there's so much that goes on in a show. When someone goes and watch a show in London, the next thing, or I will be now looking at all these different things going, oh my goodness, I know what's going on backstage now. Can we talk about Hurtwood connections in the theatre world? Because talking of amazing sets, different things, you recently worked with season 1 star of this podcast, Katie Buchholz, in Witness for the Prosecution.
Yes.
If someone's not seen that episode of this podcast or the show, explain that set to me, because it's incredible. So
County Hall was an old courtroom. I think back in the 1950s. And then the courts moved elsewhere. So that's stage was just sitting, the space was just sitting vacant. So then Eleanor Lloyd wanted to do Witness for the Prosecution, to show set in a courtroom. They were looking what theatres are available, what can we do? And then they stumbled along County Hall.
Amazing. So
it's all of the audiences are in the kind of viewer seats, and we use the full judge bench and everything in the show. We've added a little stage to give it a bit of height for the show, but otherwise it is exactly like the working courtroom that was used years back.
And from a kind of backstage point of view and managing that, is it different than, I guess, a normal show?
Yes, because we don't technically have backstage areas.
Yeah, where are you?
So if you're calling the show, you're like right behind, hidden by a screen.
Okay.
So hidden by the big curtain. So when you're calling the show, you can't actually see it. You're all doing it off cameras.
Wow.
So there's the little bit of the delay. If the lights are, if you're doing something in a scene change, you're like, can I see what I need to see? But otherwise, it's the 3 door entrances where all of our props are on the outside. Audiences come in and use the foyer, and then when they're all sat, we wheel out our costume rails and our props boxes, do the show like that, and then 2 minutes before the interval, wheel it all back in, and then the audience come out, use the space. So yes, it's not the most fun for backstage, but it's great.
Interesting, but stressful.
Yes.
That is a really cool production, but what I will imagine is going to be a massive production is what you're going on to next. Can we talk about it?
I think we can, yes.
We can talk about it. Again, working with another Hurtwood student, also star of season 1 of this, Luke Brady, in, I've got Prince of Egypt, that's what he used to do, in Hercules, of course.
Yep.
That's Disney, that's big sets. What can you tell us?
So I don't actually know a lot at the moment because we haven't started rehearsals, but I know it's going to be massive. It's in one of the biggest theatres in London, so they definitely have the space to do what they want. It was on in Germany last year for a little bit, so I know that there were big columns, there was a revolving stage, there was I think it was a bridge that came down or something from the little things that I can see, so I'm imagining that in London.
What's your role on that production?
So I'm assistant stage manager, book cover. So like I said, in 9 to 5, in the wings, dealing with the props and stuff. And then once a week, I will do the deputy role of calling the show with the lighting, the sound, the automation, and all that fun jazz.
Wow, a lot to do. And that's when does that open? Remind us.
We open for previews on the 6th of June and open for press on the 24th of June.
Exciting year ahead. And that's a big contract, I assume.
Big contract, yes. Very exciting. Amazing.
Well, congratulations on that. It's a huge show. So in a really exciting year ahead, if we kind of come back to Hurtwood, to wrap it up, if there's someone that is, I mean, I've actually seen you at lunch and around here speaking to a student, giving advice, which is amazing. But what would be one key piece of advice for someone that maybe is working behind the scenes on these Hurtwood shows, I guess, to follow your journey?
I think message people about going in and shadowing on shows, putting yourself out there, just get as much real world experience as you can. If you want to do drama school, that's great, but it's not always the only way to do it. But yeah, just message anyone in theatre, message production companies and say, I'm interested in theatre, I'd love to shadow. And I think that is the best starting point that you can do. Do some shadowing. Do some work experience.
If you could give yourself a bit of advice, maybe something you've learned in the 9-10 years since you've left that you wish you knew.
Everything will work out, and trust in yourself.
Very good. A lovely little life mantra.
Yes.
Let me ask you this. Someone that maybe is interested in theatre, maybe not, maybe just trying to, I guess, find themselves, be more mature, whatever it might be, and they're looking for a place, a sixth form college. Kind of why Hurtwood House? I know you've spoken about it as well. What did it do for you? Why should someone pick here?
You develop your independence before going to university. So you really help to become into yourself, which I think is wonderful. And there's just so many opportunities and wide variety of things that you can do here that no other school offers. It is definitely a one-of-a-kind university school.
Amazing. And plus, you'll get this amazing view
yes.
every single day, so everyone's a winner. Lucy, best of luck with Hercules this summer. I'm so excited for you and whatever else you're going to go and do as well. Round of applause, everyone, for Lucy Mason-Lockett.
We really hope you're enjoying Beyond the Hill. To catch up on every other episode, head to YouTube and Spotify right now, or you can follow all of our social media channels to never miss a moment here on Beyond the Hill.